What if the reality that we are trying so hard to correct had never been the obstacle? What if it was, in fact, just the most visible result of something much quieter? What if, right now, there were countless versions of the same life, all equally available? And the only reason a person continues to inhabit this exact one and not another is that, at some imperceptible level, they continue to choose this one, not by conscious decision, not because there is some secret desire to remain trapped with her. But why does a phrase repeat itself, almost unnoticed, day after day? That's just how things are. That's how my life has always been. That's all I've ever known. And here's what often escapes most of what's taught about creating a different reality. There's no need to find your way to another version of yourself. It is only necessary to stop supporting the version that no longer serves its purpose, because the moment it becomes clear that all reality follows the identity now assumed, the question that made sense until then loses its meaning. The question is no longer how to achieve a different life, and it becomes, why does this continue to be the life I've chosen? There is an instant, always the same instant, that has never finished happening. Everything that has ever been experienced has arrived here through it. Everything that is yet to happen can only arrive by the same path. And yet, most people treat this moment as a waiting room, a place of passage, a corridor between what has already been and what is yet to come. But a hallway is not a place to live. It's a place to walk through without looking both ways. And perhaps that's exactly what happened to desire. It was pushed to the end of the corridor, treated as something that only exists up ahead, something that needs to be achieved through effort, time, and distance traveled. But what if desire had never been at the end of the hall? What if, in fact, he had always been in the room where the person already is, only with the lights still off? A desire is often described as an absence, something that is missing, a distance between where someone is and where they would like to be. But notice the structure of this sentence. It presupposes two places, an incomplete present and a complete future, separated by a journey that still needs to be made. But there is only one place where anything can be felt, thought, or experienced, and that place is now. The past is not relived in the past. It is reconstructed now, like a photograph developed in a dark room, where the image only appears because someone, in the present, decides to place it under the light, and the future does not exist in front of us waiting to be reached. It is imagined now, like a map drawn by someone who has never left where they are sitting. If this is taken seriously, desire changes category. It ceases to be a destiny and becomes a given, something that is already present, because there would be no other place where it could be. The question is no longer how to reach him, but rather, why is he being treated as if he were far away? There is something strange about the way imagination works. No one can imagine a color that has never existed. No one can desire a version of themselves that is completely impossible. Imagination works within a repertoire. It only presents what, in some way, already belongs to the realm of possibility. So, when someone can clearly imagine a different version of themselves, freer, more whole, more at peace, that's not a whim of the mind. It's evidence, Imagine someone standing before the first uphill section of a trail you've never walked before. You haven't even taken a step. They haven't yet felt the weight of their own body against the incline, and yet their breathing is already adjusting. Their muscles are already preparing. Their body is already organizing itself for an effort that, technically, hasn't even begun. None of this is empty anticipation. It's the body recognizing that this path already belongs to what it is capable of traversing, even before the first step is taken. This is the opposite of a lengthy process. It's a gesture of recognition. There doesn't need to be a specific number of days, nor a sequence of steps, for an identity to become real. All that's needed is to stop postponing the recognition of what imagination has already proven to be possible. Why then do so many people continue to live the same reality year after year, even though they desire something different with such intensity? Perhaps because there is a difference between desiring a new reality and ceasing to repeat the identity that sustains the old one. An identity functions like a narrative that someone tells about themselves silently all day long. This is me. This is what happened to me. This is what I'm still dealing with. And this narrative isn't filed away somewhere in the past. It's retold now with every thought that repeats it, like a river that keeps tracing the same course, because the water, following the path of least resistance, always returns to the furrow it itself carved. But a river changes course when it encounters a new obstacle, and a thought changes direction when it finds a new interpretation. Each moment arrives like a blank page. The problem isn't the page, it's the habit of copying, every day, the same text that was already written before. Recognizing this is, in itself, a change of identity, because whoever sees the pattern ceases to be merely someone who repeats it. There is a silent belief behind most human suffering, the belief that the present is the inevitable result of the past, as if life were a mathematical equation and the present moment merely the final product of everything that has happened before. But note that this is just one way of interpreting time. It is not time itself. The past only continues to influence the present as long as it continues to be chosen as an explanation, just as a shadow only exists as long as there is light falling on a body at a certain angle. Change the angle of the light, and the shadow changes shape, even if the body remains exactly the same. This doesn't mean nothing happened. It means that the meaning attributed to what happened isn't fixed, and if the meaning can change, the consequence can too. Therefore, a radically different circumstance does not necessarily require a long journey between the old and the new reality. It only requires ceasing to use the old meaning as the foundation of the present moment. Still, the mind persists with one question: how will this happen? Through what sequence of events? By what mechanism? This question seems reasonable, but it's actually a subtle way of keeping your distance, because while someone is busy trying to figure out the way, they continue living as if they haven't arrived yet. Imagine a door in a quiet house. You don't need to understand the engineering of the hinge, the material of the wood, or the exact force required to open it. You just need to walk through it. What is often called the field of infinite possibilities is not a distant place full of invisible mechanisms waiting to be deciphered. It is consciousness itself that observes, chooses, and experiences. There is no external system processing the request somewhere outside of someone. There is only the decision to stop treating an identity as a hypothesis and start treating it as a fact. This is me, not as a goal, as recognition, wealth, true connections, health, recognition, inner peace. No matter what name the desire is given, the mechanism behind it is always the same. As long as it is treated as a horizon, it will remain exactly where every horizon remains, always at the same distance, no matter how far someone walks towards it. Because the horizon is not a place, it is an optical effect that moves along with the observer. But there is a difference between walking towards a horizon and opening a window of a house and simply recognizing the landscape that is already there. Accepting what is desired as a gift is not a persuasive technique. It's a shift in the perspective from which life is observed. It ceases to be observed from the waiting line and begins to be observed from inside the house. If only the present is real, then everything that could happen can only exist within it, not as memory, not as projection, but as a living possibility now. A garden contains, within its seeds, all the flowers it will yet produce, even before any of them break through the earth. The flowers are not in the garden's future, they are in its present, as potential already contained within the very structure of the seed. Similarly, every possible version of a life is already contained in the present as potential, and the consciousness that observes this garden is not only a witness to the flowers that have already bloomed, it is also what decides at every instant which seeds will receive attention and which will remain buried. This means carrying two natures at the same time, to be the field where everything is possible, and also to be the one who chooses within that field what becomes experience. If reality is not something separate from consciousness, but an expression of it, then there is no external force delaying or blocking what is chosen. What exists is a mirror faithfully reflecting what is presented before it. A mirror never invents a different image from the one it receives. It only reflects exactly what was placed before it, and phrases like, "This has always been a problem for me," are not facts set in stone. They are images repeatedly presented to the mirror, day after day, until they seem permanent. An old image can be changed, not by fighting against the reflection, but by changing what is offered to it. And perhaps this is the point where the whole journey dissolves. There is no broken version of someone waiting to be repaired. There is no final person you need to transform into through effort and sacrifice. There is only the habit of looking at a clock that never existed, counting the time until you reach a place where, in fact, you already are. The essential gesture is not to build something new from scratch. It is to recognize what is already present, to let the old stories dissipate like mist at dawn, without being fought, simply set aside, and to accept without proof, without external guarantees, that the desired version was never ahead. She was here. The door was never locked. I was just waiting for someone to stop knocking and finally turn the doorknob.